All right, I'm going to kick this one off very straightforward. So, welcome to the Perfect Mess. Most of you guys know that I've been very blessed to pick up a new position at a high school, and it's a continuation high school for kids who are down to their last opportunity to graduate and get their credits and get on to the world. So, it's to say that it has challenges is saying the least, because it definitely has a lot more than challenges. But I want to say this: it's about celebrating the small victories, and it means things like getting a kid who doesn't want to talk open to start talking to you, starting a dialogue. It means getting a kid to smile who doesn't smile and even make eye contact with you, you know? It means getting a kid who is trying to avoid coming into class, chilling in the car, getting them to come out without even any kind of an argument. They just, hey, I'm getting out, I'm going to class, I got you, I see you, you know? And it means sparking conversation to get them to think past just graduating and barely making it. Finding out what makes them who they are, and find out who they were before they ended up here, because all of these kids started somewhere, you know what I mean? Some of them were athletes, some of them were musicians, some of them were artists, and some of them were on a good path at one point, but now they're struggling. So today, for me, I had a moment where I was like, before I came in, I like to, most of you guys who listen to this podcast know I like to read. And so I said, I'm going to read. I'm going to read today. I'm going to bring a book. But I also said, this may be a talking point. This may spark some conversation with a kid. Because what if one of these kids who is from, quote unquote, the other side of the tracks and maybe has this wall up like most of these kids do, what if they walk up to me and they say, hey, coach, because everybody here calls me coach. Hey, coach, what are you reading? Now it sparks a dialogue, right? What if one of these kids who doesn't typically read gets interested? What are you going to do? Well, today that happened. About 15 minutes ago, I am standing by my little area where I make sure the campus is secure, just standing there watching the kids and also reading. Quite a few kids walked up and said, hey, coach, what are you reading? And I would tell them. But then there was one in particular who came up and said, coach, what are you reading? You just reading a book? And I said, yeah. He's like, what are you reading? So I started telling him. And the book I'm reading is The Four Agreements. You guys know I rant and rave about this book all the time. And I love Don Miguel Ruiz, who's the author. So I started telling him about it. And he says, man, that sounds good. And he looks at me and he goes, do you mind if I read it after you? And I looked at him. Now, this is a kid who runs with a tough little group of kids. And, so for him to come out and ask to read, I looked at him, I said, sure. I go, if you're serious, I'll give it to you right now. And he said, well, how far are you in? I said, I've read this book 4 or 5 different times. Look at all the highlights. And I go, but if you're serious, I'll give you the book right now. And he goes, okay. And I said, all right. He goes, but I'm a slow reader. I said, you could finish it in a weekend. You could finish it in a week or 2. He says, okay, you're okay with that? And I said, yep. He goes, thank you. I appreciate that. And I explained to him what the book was about. I gave it to him. He walked off. And I couldn't help but think, this is exactly why God has me here. This is exactly why Man, I gotta be honest with you, man. When I think back of all the podcasts that I recorded since 2020, and I started sharing my life and talking about my struggles and talking about the things that I was doing to get myself through being homeless and through my divorce and through all of the things I was struggling with, I realized all of those struggles were to get me right here. Because all the things I was doing to get myself through that divorce, get myself through being homeless and trying to figure out my life, it helped me become the man I am today. And now that person, the man I am today, is helping kids who are going through life struggles right now, and life is trying to defeat them. It is an amazing place to be. And I know I've said this many times, but I am so blessed, and I'm so thankful to be here. And I just pray that God continues to use me every day. I love you guys. Thank you for always listening to my podcast. Thank you for always supporting me. I appreciate you. I hope you're doing all well, and God bless you. And like I always say, my life isn't perfect. Oftentimes it is a mess, but for me, it is the perfect mess.